Parashat Matot Masay. I had a problem with that because I wanted to really talk about something completely different. And that maybe I'll do tomorrow. Maybe we'll do two parts because it's very long. And that is the sugya, the issue of Yeshiva ha'aretz. Is there an obligation for us to settle down in Israel now, or there isn't? It's not so simple as you think it is. However, when I start to put it, when I put it on the document, I didn't pay attention, and then I saw it and said, "Wow, that's too long." So I'm going to talk about something else today. I'm going to talk about Parashat Matot, not on Masay. So Parashat Matot starts with, I guess it's the Yeshiva thing, starts with halachot nedarim, with all kind of the laws of vows and promises and so on and so forth. By the way, today people's words is not worth anything. So even the vows that we make so-called to God needs to take a very serious look and consideration. Maybe because there is a decline in the value of words altogether. So that's what it is. However, the main thing is really, nedarim, vows of women, and so on, and also the way which the father or the husband untangle them. Let's call it this way. So it starts with the Parashat Nedarim, and it says, "Ish ki idor neder leHashem, ho yishabah shvuah leasor iser al nafsho, lo yechal devaro kechol hayotze mipiv yaseh." Right? If a person makes a vow to Hashem, whatever comes out from his mouth, that's what he should be doing. Rashi explains to us, "Lo yechal devaro, lo yechalel devaro." Yechalel means to desecrate his word. I guess because of politicians and politics today, and I think ultimately the lack of values and virtues in our lives, today the word is not worth anything. But in other words, lo yechalel dvaro, he explains, lo yaseh devarav chulin. Don't unholify, or I don't want to say desecrate, but your words. So, and this is how powerful words are. In other words, one needs to understand that the words of a Jew are holy words. That's why we are commended, I don't think like any other religion, to so many laws that are associated with how we talk, with what we talk, and to whom we talk, and so on and so forth. If you look at it, there's so many, not only Lashon Hara, there's Rechilut, and who you can talk to, and how you can talk to. It's very important. Don't forget, by the way, that the world was created with words, right? In a way, Hashem created the world with words, and we continue creating it with our words. And if Eitan is not going to put the phone down, I'm going to step on it. Now, and this is a tremendous chidush, a new avenue in the in dealing with words and the power of words to the overall treatment of words in the world by the secular world outside. People are very impressed when somebody does something. Wow, he did this, or he climbed the Everest, or he ran a triathlon, or he did something of so on and so forth. We always look at actions, but do we look at other things? Do we look at words? For example, if somebody in school, as a student in school, will hurt another student, another kid in school, whether it injures him or just gives him a punch or something like that, immediately there's going to be a tremendous reaction to that. It's going to be quite severe. It's going to be suspension and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. However, if the same student would attack another person with words, and I'm not talking just about bullying, he would insult him or would humiliate him, most likely nothing would be done, and and they're going to kind of sweep it under the table. They're going to tell the guy who was insulted, don't be a baby, just get over it, don't pay attention. And that's what we do all the time. In our modern words, there's a lot of words are spreading up in the air. Everybody's talking to everybody, and those darn phones are absolutely a contributor to that. There are electronic handcuffs, and wherever you go, and people get an attitude if you don't answer them immediately, and this is terrible. Everything is words. I mean, not to become political or something like this, and not to say this president or that president, but I think it is absolutely classless, absolutely inappropriate that a person at the caliber of a president tweets. What are you, a little birdie? You shouldn't be tweeting. You're busy all day long like a little, 13-year-old girl in some school in downtown nowhere, tweeting and chatting, and that's what a president does. And don't think that, what's his name, who's the president? Trump is better than Obama. What's a tweet? They're busy. Should be busy doing things. Lead the country. Tweeting. He said, tweet. Terrible. I mean, so much that there's like there's a wave of chatter out there, whether it's the cellular phones, whether it's text messages, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's what's down, the Facebook, Twitter, and it's a tsunami of words, a tsunami of chatter that it's unbelievable. And that is, in a way, comes to devalue the value of words. Words are nothing to you anymore. They mean nothing to you. And that Chazal told us with a great mind, Siag lechochma shtika. Or the Chinese say, lehavdil, a gate for wisdom is silence. You want to be wise? Shut up. Don't talk. Really smart people don't talk. But when they talk, everybody listens. And if you ask a guy like this, why didn't you talk? I have nothing to say, so I didn't talk. Without getting into the psychological aspect of that, but I'll tell you this, it does not show tremendous strength and stature if you're always talking. There's something that you should work on if you talk so much. So therefore, and people don't pay attention to what they say. So if you don't pay attention to what you say, guess what? I'm not going to pay attention to what you're saying either. And the Torah sees the opposite, puts a lot of emphasis and importance on words and the power of words. Whether it's a neder, a person makes a vow, he says, I am not going to do this. How many people do you know that says, I'm going to stop smoking? 2 days later, they're smoking again. What happened to your word? I'm not going to do this. 2 seconds later, they do that. So it's a vow. Whether it's a issue of words that you understand, whether you're saying a bracha in a place or a bracha on something, what happens in the spiritual realm when you're making a bracha in a certain place, you're fixing things up. Whether you're praying in a certain place, you are fixing things up. And we spoke about it many times. If you enter to a place where people actually speak divrei Torah, where people actually pray appropriately, you want to pray there. Well, regardless of the decorations, if people don't speak divrei Torah, if there is gossip there, if people don't pray appropriately, what's prayer? The power of words. You don't want to stay there. And we need to understand that. Shlomo HaMelech says, Mavet v'chaim beyad halashon. Life and death in the hands of your tongue. There is power in words of people, believe it or not, to hurt, to affect, and even to kill people. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. And on the contrary, as much as there is a destructive power in words, there is a very positive to strengthen, to build, to give life. You see a person who's a little down, talk to him. Cheer him up. Be truthful about your words. He would feel it. He's not alone anymore. It might put him in a different trajectory now. Instead of being down, he's going to start a climb up. Say hello to people. Be nice. Don't talk unless you have something to say. And even if you have something to say, make sure that your words are really, really thought after, carefully, looking into it. Think twice before you say something. Damage of words is terrible. Remember, I read one time a kid's book. It's called Jimmy Spoon, something like this, about an American kid who was so-called adopted by Indians and so on and so forth. And he had a Shoshone mother, that old elder lady that adopted him, and he was insulting her. And the guy took him and he said to him, "Here." So they think he's going to kill him. So he takes a bow and arrow and starts shooting it on the tree. One after the other, shoots the arrows. And then he says, "Go pull them out." He said, "These are the arrows, these are the words that you just insulted her. And I'll pull them out." And then you see, these are the holes that are there always. Be very careful with your words. The way you hurt people with your words could cause a permanent damage in somebody's soul, in somebody's awareness. Be very careful. And a nice word, you would never forget that for years. You have to remember that. That's why teachers need to be very careful. They always talk to kids. They could destroy a kid. Parents could destroy a kid as well. Husband can destroy a wife, and the other way around. We have to be very careful. So, at the age of 8 years old, we do every Jewish kid gets what? What do we do? I'm not 8 years old. 8 days old. 8 days old. What do we do? Brit Milah. What's Brit Milah? Brit Milah. Circumcision. So why do they call it Brit Milah?
Word.
A covenant of words as well. Look at this way. How does the milim, we're teaching the kid, Brit Milah, Brit Torah. We're teaching a Jewish kid. And that covenant that we're teaching the kid is to teach him the importance and the power of every word. Every word that you come out of your mouth, you should be able to stand behind it. So don't say anything you don't mean. That's the covenant of words. And when we understand this brit, this covenant, we understand that covenant keeps us, guides us, and prevents us from going to places that are negative places that could actually harm us. And then you have to be very careful. And that's why the first thing that we teach a kid is, what do we do? Even before that, we do Brit Milah. Kids come in and they say Shema Yisrael on the bed of the baby. And then the first thing that the kid learns, what is the first thing we tell him? Torah tziva lanu Moshe. It's the first thing. Torah, words. Understand the power of it. Look at people who refine themselves, what they were able to do with the words, how refined the words were. This is how refined the people were. And I can't think of anybody better than the Rambam. Or the Ramchal, or so on and so forth. All these people. The words are measured. One word here, one word there will tip the whole thing, upside down. So that can tell you a lot about the people. However, talking about that and talking about vows and nedarim, it brings us another aspect which we said beforehand about the way that the husband and the father could undo vows that the daughter or the wife makes. If you read those words and you read this part in the parasha, it might, if you don't understand, might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, because it seems that it's not symmetrical. It seems that it's not equal. What do I mean? The father can undo the vows of his daughter, and the husband can undo the vows of his wife. And the question is, why can a wife undo the vows of the husband, or the daughter the vows of the father? Why is it only this way? Is this a chauvinistic conspiracy? And I'm sure there are many people will tell you it is, but it's actually not. The hint for that, the concept, the idea behind it, could be found in the way the Torah actually chose to finish this parasha. And the pasuk that we finished the parasha could bring us to a great question. And it says, "Ele hachukim asher tziva Hashem et Moshe." These are the laws that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded Moshe, ben ish leishto. That's the laws between a husband and wife. Ben av lebito, ben area bet avia, with the father and the daughter when she was young, when she's living with her father. These are the laws. You should talk about Shlom Bayit. I mean, there's a guy who makes Shlom Bayit classes forever and ever and ever. I don't know what there's to talk about Shlom Bayit so much, by the way. I'm really serious. But these are the laws to do the vows, so tell them this. It's strange. You should say, you be nice to her, you give her flowers, you compliment her dress, you never say she's ugly, But you hear in the average Shlom Bayit lecture. Everybody wants to be a marriage counselor. By the way, to be a marriage counselor is not so easy. You have to go to school, you have to pass the test, you have to get licensed. That's what we call it, Shlom Bayit, marriage counseling. That's why maybe there's so many divorces. So if you read this thing and you're going to say, well, that's it? There's something here, something is missing here. Ben ish leishto, ben av lebito. The pasuk, the Torah, seems like it's neglecting the essence of the parasha. It doesn't say anything here about neder. It should say, ele achukei haneder, the vows. But it doesn't talk about vows. It talks about relationships here. Of course, the mistake is never in the Torah. Ever. The mistake is in the way we look at it. Now let's try to look at it a little bit different. The way we look at it is or was completely wrong. The ending of the parasha comes to really focus us. By the way, you see I'm reading with my glasses. Thank you. Thank you for the glasses. Again, as I said, anybody needs glasses, please go to Queen's Optical, Mushayev Brothers, the best glasses I ever had. And believe me, I had millions of glasses. And is basically to tell the husbands or the male in the family something completely different. You have to listen to what we call your partners, to your wives. You have to pay attention. The husband needs to listen to his wife. And when he's going to have all the daughters, he should listen to them as well. Because that day, the halakha tells us, if you heard her making a vow, within the day you can undo it. So it means that you're always listening to what she's saying. So we don't really need to, without getting a whole degree here in psychology, right? But we need to ask, why is a woman altogether going to demand or would like to cause a vow to herself which is really going to make her uncomfortable? We all know women like to be comfortable. Give me a 5-star hotel. I want the Mercedes. I want this, luxury. Why would a woman make a vow to say, I'm not going to do this. I am not going to do that. From now on, no more of this. Of course, if it's allowed, or we are saying, if it's davar asur, a prohibition that she says, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore, okay, I'm not going to speak lashon hara, fine, gesundheit, chazak u'baruch, tamshichi. But if she says, I'm not going to drink wine anymore, why would you do that? It's allowed to you. Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you torture yourself? The answer is very simple. A woman like that is in distress. A woman like that is in distress. There is some kind of an emotional difficulty that she's experiencing, something bothering her, and therefore she's pushed to the corner to deal with those things, with whatever is sitting on top of her, by making a vow. She wants to connect to something. She's willing, so-called, to sacrifice something to help her out. She doesn't know what to do. The same thing, like who? Famous story, like who? No? What was the name of the mother of a prophet that was considered to be like Moshe and Aharon? Hannah. Who was the prophet? Shmuel. What did she say? Give me a son, and I'm going to dedicate him to Hashem. After you have a son, now you're going to dedicate him. What's wrong with you? She was miserable. And the Torah tells us the same thing. The Tanakh tells us the same thing. When she came to Eli, he thought she was drunk. He says, no. Hashem said to her, no, leave her alone. Let her spill her guts. So when a woman makes a vow like this, means something is wrong. She's feeling some kind of a distress. Otherwise, it's not natural health for her to do that. So, comes the Torah and tells us that to undo the vow is the father or the husband. And by doing so, the Torah forces the husband and the father to pay attention to the wife or the daughter. Because if you didn't pay attention and the day passed, it's too bad. So you need to pay attention. You need to have your hand on the pulse all the time. You need to be aware of her emotional positioning, or where she's holding emotionally. And when you're aware of it emotionally, the Torah says now you need to respond to it. If she says, I'm not going to drink wine anymore, it says, I'm doing your vow. Why would you want to do that? And then she's going to tell him, I have a problem. I feel sad. And he goes, don't worry about it. I'm here for you. Look at the chokhmah, the wisdom of the Torah. And look what fools we are that we never pay attention to this. That's a very big thing to understand this in relationship. In order to create a healthy relationship, you don't need to go to spend like I don't know what, 5 days at the Danieli Hotel or Danieli Hotel in Venice, or in the Ritz in Paris, or you don't need to do so. Just pay attention. Make sure, acknowledge she's there. She's a little down. Darling, what's the matter? Why your face is down today? Talk to her before it becomes a big deal. Before it becomes a big deal. And I'm telling you not because you're going to be husbands. And don't make the mistake that many people do. Oh, we're going to go to marriage counseling. What do you need a marriage counseling for? So you can throw dirt at each other? Prevent that. I mean, didn't you marry her for a reason? Talk to her. Speak to her. Be aware of what is happening to her. And then when you do so, do it very, very carefully, very gently, and very in a great compassion. Why is she making this vow? Understand where she's coming from. What happened to her? Why is she choosing to go to such an extreme? What pushed her to go to such an extreme to make a vow? What brought her to really torture herself, to inflict discomfort and almost torture on herself? By doing so, she's going to get chizuk from you. She's going to feel stronger from you. So instead of pushing her to the neder, instead of pushing her to make vows, she's going to come closer to you. And then she's going to accept from you koach, strength, and encouragement, and acknowledgement of her existence and her problems. And then you can work on it before it becomes a catastrophe. And that's why it's done like this. Still, the question is, why not the other way around? Where's the equality of things? Why is it like that? And why can a woman undo the vows of the husband? Why only the husband undo the vows of his wife, and so on and so forth? And the answer is very simple. That's the difference between men and women. We are not talking here about superiority, because there's no such thing. In Judaism, regardless of what some loony feminists are thinking, there's this woman in Israel, she's out of her mind, Ruchama Weiss, Loch Patli, I'll say, complete ignorant of the thing she discovered the moon. Everything that the Torah says, she twists it out like this. And I'm sure she's going to say something about this. But maybe she should listen to what we say. Men and women, in the relationship of men and women, there's no one superior to the other, one better than the other. They are considered to be one entity with different polarizations to it. One is, I'm not saying negative and positive, like bad and good. One is a plus, one is a minus. And when we have plus and minus, we have electricity, we have light. If you have two pluses and you have two minuses in electricity, what happens? Nothing. You're gonna blow the circuit. Blow a fuse. There's no light. And that's the difference between men and women. And that comes to, and then the difference between men and women, I have a typo here, the difference between men and women, I just realized, is their need to express, and I'm not saying that men do not have that need. And we're not getting into here nurture and nature and the way boys and girls are being raised. We're talking about, that's the way it is. They have a different need to express their emotions. Men usually are more closed and less willing to express their emotions. When you ask a person, a man, so tell me, what do you think? What do you feel? He's going to tell you. He's going to feel vulnerable. He's going to be angry at you. He's going to think you are nosy. And so on and so forth, right? And some people can go for years, the whole entire life, without telling you what they feel. That's why men have a bigger problem to say to a woman, I love you. Not just when they want sex. Truthfully, to say, I love you. Or to say to her, I'm really sad today. Or whatever it is. Because we feel that we're becoming vulnerable. It's a feminine attribute. You know. I guess it's a matter of culture because, I don't know, I was thinking about Latin people, but no, also like this. That's how people are. And even if a person is going to choose to share with you what they really feel, their emotions or their thoughts, men are going to be very selective of what they're going to tell you. They're not going to spill their guts. That's because we are weak, not because we're strong. And we are strong physically, but emotionally, that's what makes it beautiful. And women are physically weak, but emotionally they're extremely strong. And that's why we need both parties together. We need both parties together. Think what happens to a kid that grows up with two mothers or with two fathers without having mother and a father. You're creating a whole distortion there over there. So, and maybe somehow you'll learn how to open up to a rabbi. You have a problem because you're not going to go to a psychologist to undo your neder because you felt also distress. So you're going to go to the rabbi. He's going to be matir your neder, right? But you're not going to go to your wife and tell her that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands, the Torah understands the difference between men and women. That's why the Torah come to tell us different ways to undo the neder for men and different ways to undo the neder for women. The Torah determines because the husband and the father would be able to undo the vows of the wives and the daughters under, of course, certain circumstances. And that is in order to create an awareness by men to the emotional needs of women, which are completely opposite in most part to the emotional needs of men. And the Torah directs the men to be more, to pay more attention to the woman, because she wants her husband and her father to be involved with her inner world, And when they listen to her, they help her overcome it. And that's something that is an unbelievable lesson. It's one of those unbelievable gems that Torah hides it in plain eyesight, and we just turn the other page. And this is unbelievable tool to build healthy relationships between a husband and wife, between a father and a daughter. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because if the Torah thought that that's the way it should be, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it like this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah know better than us. So we better listen. We better use the Torah and its great wisdom to solve the problems before they even occur. Because otherwise we are completely lost. And you could see it with your own eyes. You could see it with your own eyes. If you stray away from the Torah, maybe you'll be able to keep yourself on a path for a while. But without a doubt, your son is going to drift even further than you. So before that happens, in order for the kid not to be soreh u'moreh, in order for the parents to speak the same language, they need to better communicate. When they do so, they're going to have shalom bayit. When they do so, they're going to have harmony. And that could only achieve b'derech HaTorah. Shabbat Shalom.